Raider Nation, let me tell you something. The vibe around the Raiders right now feels different. You can sense it. There's a shift. An energy that's slowly building up as the silver and black head into what could be one of the most pivotal seasons in recent memory. And at the heart of that buzz, one man, Pete Carroll, at 73 years old. The man still walks with that fire in his eyes, that energy in his tone, and that relentless passion for football. Say what you want about age, but Carroll just might be the injection of life this franchise needed. Training camp is officially underway. Veterans have checked in, rookies are in the building, and yes, the coaching staff is fully locked in, the stage is set. And right before the pads go on, Pete Carroll stepped to the podium and spoke to the media, and what he said gave us all plenty to talk about. Now, if you thought today was going to be about players sprinting on the field or full-speed drills, think again. Today was more about check-ins, physicals, and setting the tone. But Carroll used the opportunity to make it known that this Raiders team isn't here to just show up. They're here to compete. They're here to win. One of the biggest takeaways from Pete's presser was how he talked about Christian Wilkins. When asked about the defensive lineman status, Carroll admitted there's still uncertainty about when exactly he'll be ready to return to full action. But if you've seen that clip floating around social media, the one of Wilkins dancing in Crocs at the Raiders facility, you probably had the same reaction I did. This dude doesn't look like someone who's rehabbing at half speed. In fact, the fact that he's even moving around like that inside team headquarters says a lot. The Raiders medical staff clearly feels confident enough to let him be present. And that's usually a sign he's trending in the right direction. Pete didn't sugarcoat things either. He said it plainly when Wilkins clears the physical. He's good to go, but there is a hard deadline. If Wilkins is still on the PUP list by 4 o'clock Eastern Time on August 26th, that means he misses the first 4 games of the regular season. And if that turns into him missing Week 5 against Indianapolis, that's it. He'd be out for the entire year. That's the rule. So while there's optimism, the pressure is on for him to be ready and fast. Another name Carroll brought up was Malcolm Koonce, and folks, the excitement in his voice when he talked about Koonce was hard to miss. After tearing his ACL last year, there was concern that it might take time for him to bounce back. But Pete made it clear, Malcolm is a full go. He's been cleared. He's back. And if you remember how he played down the stretch in 2023, especially those final 8-9 games with Patrick Graham and Rob Leonard calling the shots, then you know how crucial his return is for this defense. The Raiders need that pass rush. They need that edge threat. And Koonce brings that explosiveness when he's healthy. Carroll also touched on a topic that fans have been debating all offseason: expectations. And let me tell you, Pete isn't here for mediocrity. The man literally said he expects to win 10 or more games this season. That's not just lip service. That's a statement from a coach who's done nothing but win for the past 2 decades. He knows what a winning locker room feels like, and he's trying to build that same culture in Vegas. Now, I know some people out there might think 10 wins isn't sky high enough. But considering where this team finished last season, 10 wins is a solid leap, a leap that shows belief. One thing Carroll emphasized over and over was leadership and the importance of being a good teammate, and it's more than just coach speak. What he's building in Vegas feels like a culture shift, a mentality rooted in accountability. He mentioned how having guys like Max Crosby show up to the facility at 6 in the morning sets the tone for everyone else. That's the type of leadership that doesn't just get talked about, it gets followed. If the highest paid, most productive players on your roster are also the hardest workers, that sets a standard, and that's what Pete wants across the board. He also talked about the importance of developing young talent. You could hear it in his tone. This isn't going to be a team that just throws veterans out there because of name recognition. If you're a young player and you've earned it, you're going to play. That includes guys like Darian Porter, Jacorian Bennett, Eric Stokes, and even some young names like Cameron Richardson on the offensive line. Carroll's message was clear. The youth movement is real, but it's not about trial by fire. It's about belief. If they trust you, you'll be on that field and that belief system. That's vintage Pete Carroll. Go back to his days at USC or even early in Seattle. He's always believed in young guys who buy in, who show hunger. Those guys are often on cheaper contracts, but if they over-deliver on value, that's how you build real depth and long-term success. The players get better. The competition rises. The team wins. Now, one of the biggest statements Pete made, and this honestly might have flown under the radar for some people, was when he said this might be the most athletic secondary he's ever coached. Think about that for a second. This is a guy who built the Legion of Boom in Seattle. And now he's looking at players like Darian Porter, Jacorian Bennett, Eric Stokes, and Decameron Richardson and saying this group might be even more physically gifted? That's wild, but the numbers back it up. These guys are long, fast, and rangy. They have the raw tools. The next step is putting it all together on the field. Jeremy Chin is another player Pete mentioned, and I love that. Chin brings that big safety presence, that Kem Chancellor vibe, and even though Isaiah Polamau struggled last year, Carroll seems to believe there's still room for him to grow. And that belief means a lot when it comes from a guy like Pete. He also said something that I think Raiders fans will really appreciate. He wants to build a relationship with the fan base. He wants open practices. He wants fans to feel connected to this team again. That's a big shift from the last regime, where secrecy and silence were the norm. Pete is flipping that script. He understands how passionate this fan base is, and he's embracing it. He's not trying to play it cool or act like it's business as usual. He's saying it loud. I'm here. I believe in this team. Let's do this together. Now, don't get it twisted. He made it clear, training camp is going to be tough. It's going to be intense. He wants players to buy in. Because this team isn't going to cruise through the season. They're going to grind. And honestly, that's exactly what you want to hear. There are too many guys in the league right now who seem more interested in protecting their brand than playing football. And yeah, I get it. This is a business, but it's also a job. And if the guys making tens of millions of dollars aren't showing up to practice, then how can the younger guys be expected to put in the work? Carroll's approach is simple. Show up, work hard, earn your spot. That's how winning cultures are built. That's how teams like Philadelphia and Detroit play. Tough, gritty, physical football. And Pete wants the Raiders to play that same way. That's the style that wins in January, and if you're lucky, maybe February. He also talked about new additions like Jermaine Pratt and Devin White, two linebackers that bring leadership, athleticism, and a ton of experience. And it wasn't just name-dropping. Pete talked about what he expects from them, how he sees them fitting into this defense, and how important they'll be in setting the tone, especially with White, who's had his ups and downs in Tampa Bay, but now gets a fresh start in Vegas. And Pratt, versatile, smart, and solid in coverage, something this defense desperately needed. Toward the end of his presser, Pete circled back to what it all boils down to, winning. He said it flat out. He expects to win a bunch of games, not hope, not try, expect. And for a coach with his track record, that means something. He's looking at this roster and he sees more talent than some of the Seahawks teams he took to the playoffs. Sure, those teams had big names at wide receiver, but when you stack up this Raiders offense, Bowers, Mayer, Myers, Tucker, Besh, Thornton, there's an argument to be made that this group has even more depth and potential. Add in the improvements on the offensive line and the upgrades in the front seven, and you've got a roster that can make noise. And finally, one more name that Pete seemed fired up about was Darian Porter. He called him a sponge, a young guy who soaks everything in, asks questions, and works hard. And when a coach like Carroll singles you out like that, it's not for nothing. There's something special brewing there. With his size, speed, and mindset, Porter might just be one of those sneaky breakout stars that people start noticing too 3 years down the line. And if he continues developing the way Pete thinks he will, he could become a real weapon for this team. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a twist that has the NFL rumor mill buzzing, wide receiver Devonte Adams has reportedly opened up about his controversial departure from the Las Vegas Raiders, and the admission has fans and analysts reeling. According to sources close to the star, Adams has privately voiced deep remorse over his decision to part ways with the franchise, even going so far as to say, "I regret it every day." While no official statement has been released, whispers from the player's inner circle suggest that the all-pro receiver has been reflecting on the move with increasing regret. The timing of this supposed confession is stirring speculation across the league. Could Adams be eyeing a reunion with the Raiders? Or is this simply a case of post-decision nostalgia catching up with him as he navigates a new chapter? Adams' time in Las Vegas was marked by flashes of brilliance, though often overshadowed by the team's instability at quarterback and coaching changes that undermined any consistent offensive rhythm. When he left the Raiders, many assumed he was chasing a more promising playoff window. However, insiders now hint that the bond he formed with teammates and the support of the Raider Nation may not have been so easy to leave behind. Some close to this situation suggest Adams may feel that his legacy took a hit in the wake of his departure. The Raiders, despite their struggles, provided him with a spotlight, a leadership role, and a fan base that embraced him as one of their own. The sense of unfinished business might be weighing heavily on the star receiver's mind. Of course, this could all be just noise, speculation fueled by off-season silence and media thirst for drama. But in a league where smoke often leads to fire, the notion that Devonte Adams is second-guessing his decision adds an intriguing wrinkle to the upcoming season. One thing's for certain, if there's even a whisper of interest in returning to Las Vegas, the Raiders front office and their fans will be listening. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.